Licensed video games have always been an unusual breed, more often than not limited to movies or TV shows, and exhibiting little care in regards to whether or not the final product is more of its own thing, rather than a simple retreading of already known information. Lots of licensed games are lousy for playing things safe and doing just the bare minimum, which is why ambitious titles like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom are praised not only for their appreciation towards loyal fans, but also newfound endeavors that separate the title from what it's based off of. I've played a fair bit of these in my time, but never any whose roots and main demographic are based in another country. Enter Asterix and Obelix Kick Buttix, an action-adventure game released only for the PlayStation 2 in North America, though it was available on both the PS2 and GameCube in Europe under the title Asterix and Obelix XXL. Being based off of the French comic Asterix, the game more or less flew under the radar in the United States. And as a testament to that, when I bought this, under a year ago, it was still in its protective plastic. But I love obscure games, especially ones that I've known about and finally had the chance to play. In fact, this is one of the mini games I was first exposed to thanks to PlayStation Magazine, way back in the day, I'm talking before I even knew how to tie my shoes properly. I've never heard anyone talk about this game, ever, and it's a damn shame, especially when taking into consideration how big the icons are overseas. I guess it's pretty funny that I, someone who lives in the US of all places, would be taking a look at it. But sometimes if you want something done, you just gotta do it yourself, so without further ado, let's see what we're dealing with. The first thing you see upon starting up the game, other than the PS2 splash screen, is an in-engine cutscene depicting a whole bunch of Roman soldiers getting the ever-loving crap beaten out of them. As it's revealed, both Asterix and Obelix are the cause. Wow, now that is a heavy-hitting soundtrack, which, call me stereotypical, is incredibly fitting, seeing how the two main characters are barbaric Gaul warriors. Speaking of barbaric, anyone here ever played Norse by Northwest? Because I'm getting some serious Lost Viking vibes from this music. After a quick rundown of the current state of affairs, with such details as Caesar's troops, Gaulish prisoners locked in carts, and the Roman Empire, the game starts out with Asterix, Obelix, and their pup Dogmatix leaving the village to go hunting for some food until a tree gets struck by lightning, scaring Dogmatix away from the group. Things seem to go from bad to worse as Asterix returns to his home only to find it in flames, but quickly befriends a defected Roman spy who agrees to help with the sacking of the Empire. Once reunited with Dogmatix, Asterix and Obelix set out to save their friends and topple Caesar along with his entire army, leaving you with some serious work to do. Most games are limited to saving a princess or finding some type of special MacGuffin, but the most important part of Asterix and Obelix's agenda is literally sacking the Roman Empire. They're like Kratos before Kratos. So, here's the lowdown on things. This is an action-adventure game, and I know I already stated that before, but I've been thinking a lot recently, what even is an action-adventure game? Now, I wouldn't blame you for thinking it's an adventure game with some action elements in it, as that's very true, but doesn't quite hit the nail on the head. The official definition is actually a video game that combines elements of the adventure game genre with various action game elements. This is an action-adventure game, and how. It's got platforming, puzzles, beat-em-up moments, and even a few collectathon qualities. Starting with the most basic thing, you're not limited to just playing as Asterix. Though he's definitely given a lot of playtime, the game will intermittently swap control between him and Obelix at random times, usually when you need to move an object that only Obelix can move, or need to break a special type of object like metal crates. Despite a size and strength difference, the two characters control identically, both being able to pull off a mean double jump as well as pummel enemies with a barrage of blows. They can also swing around stunned enemies like a lasso in order to get a few easy hits, and are even capable of charging into enemies, though I never really found a real use for this other than separating bad guys from one another to avoid taking damage. Dogmatix can also be used used in battle by pressing the R1 button, which has him bite an enemy soldier, rendering them defenseless and open to attacks. The combat is really satisfying. Each punch feels like you're doing a significant amount of damage, as every hit is accompanied by an over-the-top thwap sound effect. Things get really interesting when you finally charge up your combo meter after pummeling a whole bunch of enemies. Your attacks become quicker and do a bit more damage, but also allow you to pull off a few special combo attacks, like the club combo or the power hammer combo. Rightfully so, these have to be purchased over the course of the game, and man, they get to be pretty ridiculous, especially the Twister combo, which sees both Asterix and Obelix transform into vicious tornadoes, absolutely obliterating everything in sight. For lack of a better term, these are nothing short of a godsend, as a lot of your time is going to be spent in a small arena setting taking on hordes of enemy soldiers, especially as you progress closer to Rome. God damn, 1,000 enemies? Are you kidding me? The game is considerably light on power-up items, whereas in most other titles you'll find special goodies that increase your speed, strength, or make you invulnerable. Asterix and Obelix only has one, though it encompasses traits of all three. Only able to be consumed by Asterix, magic potions double his speed, strength, and make him invincible, while also offering another perk I don't think I've ever seen done anywhere else in the form of a triple jump. That's right, not only can you double jump in this game, but with the assistance of a special power-up, can pull off a more physics-defying triple jump. One of the coolest things about the game is that neither of your companions ever feel useless, especially Obelix, as though you're not controlling him 24/7, he's still required to pull off various things, like controlling turrets or sliding down slippery slopes, and I'd be lying if I didn't say it's pretty cool to see him wrecking shop alongside Asterix. But enough about the game's combat. While it is a big part of the adventure, you're also gonna find yourself running around, solving puzzles, and finding special collectibles, in this case helmets and laurels. Used as a currency of sorts, helmets are more often than not found just laying around, but are also gained from defeating enemy soldiers and come in different tiers, blue being the most common and therefore not as valuable, and gold being harder to come by and super important to pick up. These are used to purchase new abilities for Asterix, Obelix, and Dogmatics in the form of the previously mentioned special combo attacks, but can also be used to buy additional hit points and such. It takes a special type of magic to make picking up goodies in a video game fun. Spyro has its satisfying gym noise, Mario 64 has the ever-increasing red coin pitch, and Zelda has that triumphant tune. What you're really gonna want to keep your eyes peeled for are the laurels. These little guys are rare to find and usually hidden, requiring you to break a whole bunch of metal crates hiding them or solve a button puzzle. These really don't do anything for overall game completion. In fact, you don't even have to collect any of them since they don't act as a vital collectible towards progression. Instead, collecting all of them within a level unlocks various costumes for both Asterix and Obelix, something that, due to curiosity, was enough for me to keep on collecting them, but I'd imagine how easy it is to just forget about the laurels altogether. Puzzles play a huge role in progressing through levels, whether it be something as simple as the previously mentioned pushing of buttons, or the more involved mad dash with a lit torch to blow up a powder keg. There's a good amount of these spread out all over the place, some more difficult than others, though there are the obligatory few that leave you waiting for some sort of change-up to happen, though it sadly never does. Like, ooh, what a challenge, I need to grab this rope and walk Asterix over to that platform, scary. Seriously, a few of these were so absurdly mindless that I had flashbacks to that bell ringing segment in BioShock Infinite. The same goes for the boss fights, like seriously, if you've ever played New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, you'll know all about stupid, overly recycled bosses, and for whatever reason, that's the case here, as every boss you fight is the same thing, one of Caesar's machines of war. The worst part is, though you're fighting the same thing over and over, instead of introducing something new to the mix, like say a different attack cycle or means of defeat, it really is the same strategy every time, with you hitting its big red button by either jumping on it or shooting at it and then attacking its screws. I thought it was pretty funny how the game tries to throw what it probably thinks is a curveball by having the final boss be two of them. Like seriously, it's not gonna make things any harder. If anything, it'll just take longer and be more annoying. Those are really my only gripes with the game though. Sure, the platforming could have been a little more fine-tuned, but it never got to be that much of an issue, especially considering how light the game is on its overall platforming. I really like how the game looks. While it's not an ultra-old PS2 game, it's definitely one of its earlier titles releasing in 2003, but I'd say it holds up considerably well in the graphics department. It's a colorful, flashy game that definitely lends itself to its cartoon aesthetic. I almost wonder what it would have looked like had it been cel-shaded. Man, cel-shaded games are cool. Beautiful Joe and Ultimate Spider-Man are still some of the best-looking games from the 6th gen, but that's besides the point. Like I said before, I really dig the soundtrack. It's a mix-up of techno-metal, which really complements the action-packed moments, though there are a few pretty calm tracks that I'd say are just as good. In fact, this entire game is... It's really good, actually. You know, barring a few of its weaker aspects, like the boss fights or some of the puzzles, not only is it an incredibly solid licensed game, but it's an incredibly solid action-adventure game. It really is a shame how critics slammed it upon release, and oh great, GameSpot strikes again. This budgeted platform— okay, first of all, how are you gonna remark about something as budgeted when you're a lower tier IGN? Like, gimme a break. Needless to say, the game underperformed in North America, faring much better everywhere else. In fact, it did so well overseas that it received a Game Boy Advance port, but not of the normal variety, seeing as it's one of those elusive full-on 3D GBA games. What a little powerhouse that thing was. Did you know that they were actually developing a Metal Gear Solid remake for it? Man, if that got released, it would have been wild. But alas, no such luck. Asterix and Obelix XXL2, Mission Viva Las Vegas, what a mouthful, would follow the game's release, but only in Europe. Until 2018 rolled around. As it turns out, July 6th, 2018 brought some pretty good news, as an HD remaster for the game was announced with a worldwide release expected sometime in the fall. And not only that, but an all-new sequel is in the works. Maybe this time the two will get the respect they deserve, but until then...